The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs, Robert Blake, says that the Sri Lankan government must take ownership of the LLRC process. The Assistant Secretary, who is on a short visit to Sri Lanka, addressed the media in Colombo this afternoon.
During his visit, the Assistant Secretary of State held discussions with representatives of the government, the Tamil National Alliance and the civil society representatives.
I discussed in all of our meetings the need for accelerated progress to implement the recommendations of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission Action Plan. I emphasized the importance of reducing the role and profile of the military in the North and full respect for human rights. I also urged that the Northern Provincial Council elections be held as soon as possible and encouraged an early resumption of talks between the Tamil National Alliance and the government to agree on powers to be devolved to the provinces. We have always supported the LLRC process because this is a domestic process and this is a homegrown process. So what's important is for the government to take ownership of this process and for them to move forward as quickly as possible to implement these recommendations and to implement the action plan and to move ahead on some of these important issues that I raised.
Journalists also questioned the Assistant Secretary of State on the recent attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, and the killing of the U.S. ambassador to Libya.
Well, I think this is a very sad time for all of us in the Foreign Service after the loss of not only Ambassador Stevens, who was a dear friend for many of us, but also 3 of our colleagues who were also killed. So the Secretary and the President, quite appropriately, have ordered and strengthening of security for all of our embassies around the world at this very difficult time. And we will certainly do that in all of our posts in South Asia. I don't see any particular risk to our facilities here in Sri Lanka, but nonetheless, we must be vigilant at this particular time. And again, our hearts and prayers go out to the family and the friends of all of those colleagues whom we lost.